In Malachi chapter 3, it's called the Great Assembly. They've just come out of Babylonian captivity. Forgive me for being redundant. They've just come out of Babylonian captivity. They're in Jerusalem and they're praying, God, how do we keep the enemy from defeating us? God says, return unto me. That's the word in Hebrew, teshuvah. They say, how do we return? And God says something very strange to the Western mind through your tithes and your offerings. Let me just say this real quick. And I don't have time to explain this because I want to get into the revelation of prosperity and Pentecost. But the reason why Israel was defeated by their enemy is because they were so blessed that they put God on the back burner and said, you know what? We don't really need you to be Jehovah Jireh, our provider, because we're already being blessed. And so they stopped keeping Shemitah, was resting the ground 7 years. They stopped bringing their tithes and their offerings, which is the offering is 3 times a year. Passover, Pentecost, Feast of Tabernacles. We're going into Passover. 3 times a year you come before the Lord and you don't come empty-handed. Now, that's the elementary teaching. And most scholars will tell you, most Hebrew scholars will tell you, Malachi, return to me and I'll return to you. How to return tithes and offerings. Most of them will say this is written to the Gentile because the Jew then did for 500 years up to the time of Jesus. We see Jesus at the temple. We see Jesus there during Passover, during Pentecost, Shavuot, during Feast of Tabernacles, Shavuot. They were returning. This is written to Gentiles right before the coming of the Messiah. Start putting your trust back in God, not in the government, not in Washington or wherever, whatever country you live in. Put it into God. How do we put our trust into God? Bring your tithes and your offerings because it's Him that's Jehovah Jireh, our provider.
Yes, and it's also just the whole concept of returning our hearts to the Lord. And what is involved with that? Obviously, our finances are. Because where your treasure is, there your heart is also.
There your heart is also.
So when God gives us these opportunities, it's like an alignment. It's like coming to Him, getting our heart right, getting Him first in our life again, and getting our finances and our whole life lined up accordingly.
Amen.